Hey everybody, welcome back. My name is Elise, and this is 10 to Life, your one-stop true crime destination where we talk literally everything true crime. So welcome if you are brand new, and for all of you returning subscribers, welcome back. I wanted to jump on here really quickly because, as you guys know, there has been a lot of new information and rumors and details that have surfaced about the Gabby Petito and Brian Laundrie case, specifically regarding the lawsuit that the Petitos just filed against the Laundrie parents. But aside from all of that, the more I got to thinking and the more I read bits and pieces of this lawsuit last night, I think that Brian's parents may have struck an immunity deal. So I'm going to break it all down for you.
10 to Life with Elise starts right now.
I did a live yesterday where I broke down the entire lawsuit. So if you haven't heard about what the details are in the lawsuit and you want to watch that, go ahead. It's in the playlist. But just to give you a quick little summary, basically Gabby's parents are suing Brian's parents, saying that they knew that Brian had murdered Gabby and that they were complicit as far as not sharing details, that in fact they tried to not only help Brian but also tried to help Brian get out of the country. And these are serious allegations to put in a lawsuit because you do have to have some sort of evidence to go forward with a lawsuit in a civil case like that for these claims. You can't just make frivolous claims that are just speculation. So they allege that they were trying to help Brian get out of the country. They're suing them for $100,000, which I mentioned in my previous video doesn't seem like it's something they're going after for money. I don't think this lawsuit is about a monetary value. I think it's about principle. Otherwise, they could absolutely stick a larger amount to that. But we also learn about details regarding the time in which they reached out to the attorney, when they paid the retainer. So it was my suspicion and belief that absolutely the parents knew that Brian had killed Gabby when he returned home without Gabby with the van, because then just hours later, I think it's like 18 hours after he returned home, they pay the retainer fee to their attorney. Why are you hiring an attorney coincidentally at that time, unless you know that something's going on, right? And as far as evidence for them helping Brian get out of the country or trying to get out of the country, it hasn't been confirmed at all. But my long suspicion was that the $20,000 Brian had in his account was given to him by his parents to give him a head start wherever he was going. And then after he died, of course, we know they went to court, tried to petition to get the money back, because if he had that 20 grand the whole time, I don't think he would have fraudulently been using Gabby's card across state lines. I don't think he would have flown home to close that storage unit like he had said when, it just made none of it made any sense. So I want to just kind of walk you through why I think that Brian's parents had an immunity deal and why this is now in civil court and why it probably won't be in criminal court. So in the lawsuit, and I'm just going to pull something up here because I want to read it to you guys. So it's alleged in the lawsuit that they have evidence that Brian killed Gabby on the 27th. And then they say that they believe that the parents learned about this the following day on the 28th. And they say that because they say between the 28th and the 30th of August, there are multiple phone calls made between Brian, his parents, and their attorney prior to that retainer being paid. So all of these phone calls are happening on the 30th. Then he returns home on the 1st and they pay the retainer the next day. Clearly, if there's all these conference calls happening with a lawyer within that time span, they obviously know something's up. So then we know for several weeks, everybody was searching for not only Gabby, but then looking for Brian because he went on that hike or that camping trip and nobody could find him. Police lost him, all of these things. But then when Brian's remains were discovered, it was by his parents, and it was within, 20 minutes of them going out to look with the police. So here's what I think. And I could be wrong, but here's where I'm going with this, and let me know what you think. I believe that when Brian left to go to the Carlton Reserve, his parents knew what he was doing. They knew what the plan was going to be. I think that's also why they had that goodbye camping family trip earlier, right after he had returned home. And then he went off to either try to flee with that $20,000 or it was going to be a means to an end like it was. So I believe during all of this, as his parents stayed completely silent, blocked Gabby's parents, didn't cooperate with police, didn't answer any questions. I believe there was an immunity deal being worked out to share information. And then once that deal was signed, I think that's when they led the police to Brian's remains. Because remember how quickly it happened within 20 minutes. Because had they not struck a deal, there certainly could be obstruction charges and other criminal charges if they do have evidence, which allegedly they do, that they knew Brian had committed murder. And those phone calls that took place before Brian even got home with him and the attorney and his parents shows that more than likely, I would say 99%, his parents knew what had happened and what he had done, and that's why they got him the attorney. And yet they didn't share that information with police. They helped aid and abet him. They helped, harbor a fugitive or whatever it was, even though at that point he was only being charged with the credit card fraud. And so I don't know what the exact, level of charges that would have been, but certainly obstruction. And now there's been no criminal charges. The case has been closed, and now it's only going to civil court. So I believe it's because they had an immunity deal. That's when they led them to Brian after they penned that deal. And now the only accountability really that they can be held to is through civil court. Because even if the Petitos win this civil suit and, they win the judgment of $100,000 or more, they still, if they signed a deal, cannot be tried in criminal court. Because now they basically, when you sign an immunity deal, you're saying, absolutely, there will be zero repercussions for anything that I tell you. I'll tell you everything, as gross and gruesome as it is, and nothing, and I'm untouchable. So that's what I believe the situation is right now. And I think that we absolutely will know that as we go into this civil case, because they are going to have to be brought forward to testify most likely. Discovery would be introduced to where we learn all of the evidence that makes the Petito family believe that they knew. And so once that evidence surfaces, if they're not charged criminally, I think it's very safe to assume it's because there was a deal in place. And I do believe that's why they haven't been charged at this moment. Because if there is proof that the Petitos know about regarding their knowledge, absolutely the police would know about that piece of information as well, and that they were involved and that they knew. So there's no way that the Petitos are going to file this lawsuit with information that the police don't already have. So the police must already have the evidence that they knew and that they were trying to help him escape, that they were in contact with the lawyer before he even got home, that they knew that Brian had murdered Gabby, and there has to be a reason why they did not charge them, especially when they were not being cooperative along the way. And again, it's my belief it's because they got a deal. So let me know what you think about that, though. And also, if they did strike an immunity deal, I believe it would have happened much later after that family camping trip, because I believe they would have led him to the body sooner. Maybe not. Maybe they were hopeful he would get away. So who knows? But I do think it's very interesting. And I think that is the puzzle piece that we've been missing that starts to make everything fit together. But let me know what you guys think. Leave your comments below. I'm interested to hear if anybody else is thinking this, or maybe I'm a lone ranger on this one, but I don't think I am. And I think that this is the answer that we've all been wondering as to why they haven't been charged. I think that makes it all the more, it just completely aligns, especially because remember, they led them to his remains within 20 minutes of being there after all of these professionals and rangers and police and FBI were looking for his remains for weeks, or his body at that point, for weeks, and couldn't find anything. And they say then, it was because it was underwater. But then so they just happened to stumble across it in 20 minutes. And remember how quickly the medical examiner got there as well, as though they already knew that it was going to be remains and not a live person that they discovered. It's all too coincidental. And I wish I had my red flags here with me. You know that there are a lot of red flags here, and where there's smoke, there is fire. So that's what I think happened. Let me know what you guys think in the comments below. I'm following this very, very closely, and I'm trying to dig out as much information as I can. So I will keep you updated. Make sure you're subscribed and your notification bell is on if it's not already, so that you get notified as soon as I post these updates. All right, guys, let's just pray that that dirty-ass Laundrie is taken out and held accountable, and that we finally get justice for Gabby. All right, until the next case, stay safe. Bye.